welcome to the last episode of Humanitarian Watch in Season 4 of Fractured Podcast. This is also the last episode of Season 4 Fractured as such. But you can still enjoy Fractured during summer as we have summer shorts for you. And this is what we believe a bit more digestible version, right?
Just
during
shorter
summer.
bits.
Shorter. So those are short bits of some really powerful statements of our guests or us.
The best of.
Yes.
Like really great highlights, really intense, amazing moments from the season.
Yeah, so this is probably the best way to put it. So every week you will be still getting notifications on your phones and you can listen to Fractured on your favorite platform. So just make sure you check it. It will be pretty short, 7 to 10 minutes. And if you feel like this is something you're really interested in, you can, of course, watch the whole episode and you will see it in the notes of this specific short. And for this specific episode of Humanitarian Watch, we have 4 topics that are extremely important to us. And we really thought very long which episode those are going to be, because we would like you to pay attention to those topics over summer vacation, because a lot is happening there. Those are regions that are in a very, very specific, dire or dangerous situation. Many things are happening in the world right now. But we finally agreed on those 4 topics, 4 areas that we would like to bring to you today with the recent developments. But we're sure that over the summer, a lot will be happening there.
And, these topics are going to end up becoming full-length episodes in Season 5, but we wanted to get you kind of prepped for the deeper discussion that will follow, because there's no way we could actually do justice to these topics in a short format like this. But This is kind of like a little bit of a, let's get started talking about these issues because they need to be addressed.
And of course, we couldn't start with anything else than the situation of Palestinians. But this time we will do both, Gaza and West Bank, because West Bank has been very underreported and it really deserves a separate episode. However, as Doug said, here we will just highlight what is going on. So Doug, Gaza first or West Bank?
Well, I mean, obviously Gaza is seriously going to constantly dominate the news cycle. Mm-hmm. We've had multiple episodes on it as well, but it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter. The shit that's happening to people there is just unbelievable, and everybody just keeps expressing their extreme concern and making big statements, but no one's doing anything to actually stop people from starving to death. It's
and
pretty
let's just say
unbelievable.
that there are the new stats, and they're saying 147 people died of starvation. 88 of them are children. We have some different data. So this is the data from the Ministry of Health, and Vatican actually posted this as credible data. UNICEF is saying more about 100, but still 80% of them are children, of course. So no matter what, if it's 100, is it 147, it's all of those numbers too many, right? Nobody should be dying of starvation in 21st century.
No, it's insane.
It is insane.
It's criminal. It's insane. And you have the weirdest people right now in the camp of, you have full-on crazy MAGA people who are whatever Trump says goes, and they are screaming about this.
Yeah.
It's everybody is what are you doing? And then you have Netanyahu and the leaders of Israel saying, and they're saying, no starvation's happening. We're letting in aid. We're the good guys. Look at us. We're letting airdrops in. We stopped fighting for 10 hours a day to let in food. Fuck you. Are you kidding me?
Can I please quote Donald Trump?
Okay.
Who went against Netanyahu here?
I'll break our normal rules in the House and say, okay, fine. Go ahead.
I know. I'm one of those very few people who cannot make Donald Trump's voice. I don't know why. It's just it doesn't work with me.
Please don't try.
I won't. I know it can cause me a divorce. But, the way he says it, and he says it in Scotland at his golf club, he is saying, we're going to be getting some good food, good, strong food there. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids, they are really, that's really starvation stuff. So he says this the regular Donald Trump way, but the fact that he goes against Netanyahu and his rhetoric is something, right? And we know that Donald Trump, through his style and sort of blackmail almost approach, can sometimes achieve something. So I'm slightly more optimistic about this
really
situation.
feel like the only solution here would be a full military blockade of Israel, where you would just stop giving them anything.
Obviously, but we know it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but like leverage that to say, open up the doors, let in the aid, or we will cut you off militarily. And they don't want to do that either because that hurts their businesses. But this is crazy.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it's going to dominate the conversation because it's on. But it's also really disgusting when you see all of the people who are coming out and making all these big statements, and they're politicians in different countries, and they're acting like they've never seen a picture from Gaza in the last 2 years, that they've never seen anything at all. Like, and they're like, these images are so shocking and disturbing, and this is unacceptable. It's like it's been unacceptable for 2 whole years, and we're about to hit the 2-year mark, But what was also unacceptable was all the shit that was happening in the West Bank before October 7th.
Yeah.
That cannot be justified and has no bearing on what's going on in Gaza right now.
Before we go to West Bank, I would just like to highlight the situation of those airdrops of food, right? It's been happening, coming predominantly from Jordan, and both Germany and Spain declared that they will start the airdrops this week and next week. And I have like such mixed feelings towards this because on one hand, we have people literally dying of starvation, so anything can help. On the other hand, this is such an undignified way of delivering aid. I saw videos of people like hurting themselves, trying to reach this food, anything that is left of those packages. Women desperately trying to get there, but being slower, with kids usually on their shoulders than men. And this is such a horrible view. And just before we went live, I saw a statement by Doctors Without Borders saying that this is basically washing off the hands from the difficult situation, declaring that people will do airdrops because there are trucks full of food waiting at the border, and some were let in. We have to give it to the Israelis here, at least, that it's almost nothing. It's 120 trucks, I think, on Sunday and 180 on Monday. Something went in, like drop in the ocean, right, at this moment. Absolutely not enough, but there are those trucks with lots of food waiting to be let in.
But they're not letting any of these borders open to allow the aid in.
Like
so
aid.
Instead, you're going to... Do you remember what it looked like on Lesbos when people would drive through after the Moria fire and they would just drive by with a truck chucking bottles of water at people, and people were tripping and falling all over the place just trying to get a bottle of water? I mean, amplify this like, a million times, a billion times. Like, you're dropping shit from the sky because you can't, in 2025, you can't just organize
negotiate with
spaces
another
to just
country,
bring food in. Like, this is bullshit, and it's just disgusting.
And one thing that made me very sad that I saw on Instagram is basically people in Egypt sending plastic bottles filled with like messages and rice and throwing them towards Gaza. So it's like 10 kilometers, hoping that this will reach, like plastic bottles with rice. And those are like grassroots movements. It's not even organizations. Those are like people who want to do something and really cannot do much, right? They organize themselves, families with children, pushing this rice in those plastic bottles just to give, I think not even like just to really feed people, just to feel like they can maybe do something, anything, act somehow on against this absolutely horrible situation, against starvation. Because in 2025, with the media being everywhere, basically, you cannot deny that you have not seen this, right? And everybody, any individual who has any type of conscience, regardless whether they support Hamas or not, has to see what is happening in Gaza right now and cannot really let this continue. And this sending bottles with rice is like such a desperate move.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that there's this much evidence of what's happening. There's this much information. There's this many pictures and, video clips and testimonials and pieces of the camera. And yet at this stage, still, there are no international media allowed inside Gaza.
Yeah.
And so imagine what it would look like if they did let international media in to see what's going on. But they're not needed. Mm-hmm. We don't really need CNN reporters to be on the ground there. You don't need BBC reporters to be in there to know what's really happening. And
the Palestinians who are reporting are in such danger, and so many of them have already died.
I mean, I've seen reports about how some of the people who are reporting for different news outlets that have been able to get in, or they are locals because they're from Gaza, they're suffering the same things. Like, they're talking about how much it costs for like a tiny little package of rice. It's like $15 or something for like a very small little package of rice, or like whatever. I don't have the specific statistics in front of me about what the inflation of prices have been inside this region, but you could just imagine what it's like and how desperate people are to eat.
Yep.
But the idea that people now, after all this time, could still think like that this is the first time they're seeing it, it's just like, okay, what's in your algorithmic feeds? Like, what are you seeing on social media regularly? What is in your news reports? But if you compare this to what's going on in the West Bank, you could see how it really does depend on the media that you have access to. And at the current moment, the majority of people inside Israel, in recent studies that were done by different think tanks and nonpartisan research groups that were doing surveys with people, were basically clarifying that over 65% of Israeli citizens, from their study at the University of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, they said over 65% don't see in like any type of, they're not overly concerned about humanitarian issues in Gaza right now. This was done in May.
So majority of the country
doesn't
care.
And then another study was done saying that the Israeli, and this was by another nonpartisan group, they did a Democracy Institute where they just do research polls and questions, and they asked questions about should the Israeli military take into account humanitarian needs inside Palestinian civilians inside Gaza, and the answer was overwhelmingly no, or underwhelmingly maybe. And you're like, how the fuck could you be in that position? How could you think that way? And the answer is about the information you're receiving. I mean, you have on television in Israel right now, you have people who are openly discussing starvation and deportation of all people out of the region as legitimate policy agenda items. This is on television being debated by people. People are defending this, not in some sort of mock trial way, as in they're the talking head, and they are saying that this is what we should do. Starve them out or force them to leave. And you're like, and then you've got all of these other big characters in your society and like historians like from universities saying that this is a genocide, or you have former prime ministers saying it's crimes against humanity, or you have other academics and former military chiefs saying that these are ethnic cleansing. And put all those words aside. You're killing innocent civilians and you need to be held accountable for killing innocent civilians. But if the people in your society don't even see that information, and then they're still, as you were saying earlier, like they're still tied up in the trauma of October 7th, then this is how you get this type of a bullshit scenario where people are dying like this. It's crazy. And then we said we wanted to talk about the West Bank.
Yeah.
But, I remember last year when everything, all eyes on Gaza, every day of the week, every post, and there were like no eyes on West Bank. And I think everybody understands and recognizes internationally, if you've ever paid attention to an issue in the region, you know that the West Bank universally is seen as these illegal settlements, these settlements of Israeli settlers going into this region and then kind of taking it and repopulating it so that they shift the majorities towards Israeli Jews. These extremist settlers are, like there are zero consequences for their behaviors there. Everybody,
and it's very aggressive.
It's extremely aggressive. I mean, people are getting killed in straight up like old school classic historical pogroms happening in the West Bank on a regular basis. And this is all before October 7th. The numbers are kind of insane. All the pieces of paper I have in front of me are kind of nuts. And it's like the numbers are, we would need to talk about for 5 years about the actual statistics of what's really going on there. But the idea that the whole world is in agreement that these are illegal settlements, that they're internationally illegal, they're illegal in Israeli law, they break the Fourth Geneva Conventions. Everything about them is wrong, but the Israelis have decided that it's not illegal, so therefore they can do it.
It's fine.
And they're just pushing all these people in, and they've really been riling up a lot of the individuals, the hilltop youth, these young people who are attacking people randomly. They have these crazy thing called price tag attacks, where they're like, and this is kind of like I don't know what the word is, like maybe the calculation or like the equation. Like somebody tries to do something to create peace and push towards a two-state solution, and this is historically. And then shortly after that, anyone who fought for that is either assassinated or like significantly endangered, or individuals who stand for that are attacked or go underground because they're being attacked. And then you have any act of peace, any act of ceasefire, any act of anything that would kind of like pull this back, they have something called the price tag attack, where they say you will pay a price for that peace. And they're just randomly attacking people on the streets. And the numbers are kind of insane. Like, I mean, I can pull up some of them, but like, okay, prior to October 7th, there were like 1,423 recorded incidents of settler violence in the West Bank. It's insane. 319 incidents in the Nablus alone, 298 in Hebron, 321 in Ramallah. Like, these are all like before Human Rights Watch. The physical violence against Palestinians by settlers, frequently shooting at Palestinian cars. Settlers abuse Palestinians in front of Israeli soldiers and police, and they do nothing. There's no penalty for it.
Very damaging the wells as well, which is so critical in this area. And we can see so many videos online of like how those houses of Palestinians in West Bank currently look like. Like they are fortified, barbed wire, bars in windows. You don't have normal windows. People like basically create some kind of a barricades for their front doors when they go to sleep. You really, like, how do you live like this? Actually, there was a condemnation, which was like one of first, of a German ambassador to Israel, Steffen Seibert, who said that these extremist settlers may claim that God gave them the land, but they are nothing but criminals abhorrent of any faith, right? Pretty strong words. He put it on Twitter, X, just to show that there is some kind of condemnation of those actions. He's an ambassador, so it is an official statement of the government, but we haven't seen much of that except for that.
Talking about ambassadors to Israel making statements, it's a really weird world when you have Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, making statements about what's going on with Israeli settler violence against Palestinians. And when Matt Gaetz, the potential Attorney General of the United States, the disgraced sex offender congressman from Florida, when he is posting how many Americans need to be killed by Israelis for us to care in the West Bank, when you have those voices on your side and still nothing is happening, it's just such a weird time.
Weird.
Like, I don't even understand what's happening right now in this MAGA world thing, but there's this weird schism of people who are really angered by the idea that a Palestinian American was killed. This 20-year-old boy was killed. And so because an American died, now we have to care. But before that, it was like, let them die. Who cares?
Of course, like
right?
that's how it always
it's
works.
really kind of nuts. But
we have also this resolution passed in Knesset by 71 members versus 13, I believe, yes, in favor of full annexation of West Bank into Israel. It has no binding power at this moment, but it is already there, and it shows the will, right? to
Well,
do it
but of
against
course that's
any international law, against any law so far on this piece of land.
But of course that's there, because the people who are in charge of the government are the people who have been advocating for this since they were in their 20s, and they were fighting against the Oslo Accords, and they were fighting and making statements that would lead to Rabin being assassinated, and they were actively plotting terrorist attacks and then getting arrested for it, and then not serving any time. And now they're in charge of the government. They are literally the ministers. Ben Gvir, Smotrich. These guys are openly advocating for pogroms to happen, to wipe these places off the map, to annex everything, to kick them off the land, to in very, very extremist, insane ways. And then you see all of this behavior following it. And it's exacerbated and it's massive. And the numbers that I referenced earlier were since the October 7th, but there were previous numbers that were like insane. That like if you get an opportunity to, you need to check out the article that came out a year ago that is really amazing. It's called The Unpunished. It's about how extremists took over Israel, and it was like they basically did an exhaustive 50-year investigation. They interviewed everybody, every former prime minister, every official, every person who was in the military, Israelis, as well as people that were from all the way back to the British protectorate days. Like literally everybody since the creation of the Jewish state. They interviewed everybody about all of the things that have been happening, all the violence that's been unfolding, all the things that have been going on, and how where's the seed for all of this. And this article was so intense.
So where's the seed?
So the seed is back into what I was saying before, which is anybody who would fight for a two-state solution, anybody who would not automatically just give all this land to the Jews, to the Israelis, specifically the Israeli Jews, that they need to be erased. They need to be sidelined. They need to be removed. They're a threat. They're a danger. And that any means necessary is fine. And they have really just created like an unbelievable, we have to do an entire episode on this. Because this stuff is just unbelievable. But this article, you really need to check it out. It was written by Ronan Bergman and Mark Mazzetti. But it was like the collective work of like scores of journalists who did all of this digging and all of these interviews and all of this stuff. And they talk about how the nucleus or the seed of all of this was that these were ultra extremists who were not happy with the Oslo Accords. Then they were not happy with Gaza being surrendered. Then they were not happy with any of these types of peace settlements or anything leaning towards a two-state solution. And then they just ramped it up. And the same individuals that were the terrorists who were on trial for these crimes are now in charge of the government. They were the ones who were elected into government. And it's not shocking that this is happening right now.
It is not.
So, I mean, if the international governments are not going to do something, I don't know what the solution is. But we'll put a link into this article. I think right now it's behind the New York Times paywall, but it's really, really powerful. And part one's about the impunity, how there's no penalties at all. Part two is about how they're targeting the peacemakers, anybody who fights for peace or a two-state solution, any Israeli, any Arab, anybody is a target to these guys. And they are super violent, and they have no problem with just going from saying things to doing things. And then the last part is like, how do you shift from the fringe to the power, into the seats of power? So really, really disgusting stuff. But there was one thing in here I really want to pull back to it. Sorry for having to shift through here. Yeah. So there was a report that since October 7th, in the West Bank alone, there were 1,860 violent attacks against Palestinians. That's like 4 a day. 4 fucking attacks a day since October 7th. And that's not because of Gaza. It's not because of Hamas. It's because they want to do that. And they now have the right to, because the sanctions have been pulled back. Biden and Blinken before that, like, were stating sanctions against these individuals who are doing these types of violent things. Then Trump just threw that shit away. And now after that happened, now they're supported by everybody, right? And then just think of these numbers. 411 attacks in Nablus, 410 in Ramallah, 362 in Hebron. These are the concentrated areas, and then the rest are scattered over all these other settlements. There's a map of showing all of the attacks. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's constant. It's every day, and there is no consequence for it. So, Human Rights Watch put out a report recently that said that 94% of the claims of violence that are brought to the authorities are just dropped. So if you get attacked, if someone comes into your home, literally comes into your living room and with a gun and says it's mine now, and you defend that land, you defend that living room, that couch, or that yard, they shoot you in your own home, and then your sibling or your cousin or your brother or your mother goes and complains to the police, and they do nothing about it.
Yes.
And it's on video.
Yes.
They have video of it happening, and it doesn't matter.
There has been a comment saying
Fucked
that
up.
there is a whole Israeli army in the West Bank, and it's there to protect Israelis, when in fact it's Palestinians who actually need protection now.
Yeah.
I think at this point we should recommend to our listeners the episodes on Gaza we recorded, which are episodes 11, 18, and 20 of season 4. The last one on the situation in Gaza and the situation of children there was very powerful. We got a lot of insights from Patricia, who was in Gaza several times with UNICEF. So we would very much like to recommend it to everybody who's interested in this topic to go back, season 4, episode 20, to listen to it. From a dire situation in Gaza and West Bank to my beloved Poland. As a second topic we would like people to pay attention to, because a lot is happening there. Completely different gravity, completely different things. But just to remind everybody, Poland is basically securing its border with Belarus. And this is happening because so many people are crossing there, pushed by the regime of Lukashenko, but also tempted by opportunity of good life, escaping better life, escaping war, persecution, terrorism in their home countries. And it is, without any doubt, a whole mechanism that the Belarusian regime orchestrated to get people there and destabilize Poland and Western Europe. But Poland decided, the new government decided to go even farther with securing the border. They spent over 1 billion Polish zloty on securing this border, and they claim that at this moment...
That's like $250 million,
yes,
right?
Yes. Good on knowing your currency exchange rates. So it's a lot of money, right? And it's basically double fencing, and it's not even a fence how you imagine, like a net. It's a real wall, and people have to sometimes really push very hard and destroy this wall to get through it.
This looks like the types of fences we saw in Morocco.
Like
Ceuta,
yeah.
Like these super high 6 meter fences.
Yeah, it's actually 7 meters.
7.
And there are lots of drones, so the patrols are getting into those places where people cross very fast, because they cross the first one, then they are in this piece of land, and then they have to go through the second one. So very fast the patrols are reaching the people who are in between, and they're usually being arrested, taken to the station of the patrol, and then being pushed back to Belarus, of course.
It's like the episode last week with Sanrim's case in Lithuania.
Yes,
it's the same
exactly.
scenario.
So this was one of the things that we should advise our viewers and listeners to see and watch. It was a very powerful episode. But also, if you really want to know exactly what is happening at the border, it's our episode 1 of season 4 with Anya Albot that we recorded, that explains a lot of the humanitarian challenges at this border. But now, they claim, by the way, that this fencing is pretty well working, because they claim that it's 98% secured, that they managed to get either intercept people who are crossing, or they are failing at the attempt.
Well, I think they said, Le Monde reported that it was like 30,000 attempts into Poland alone in 2024. And this is from the Polish ministry. They're celebrating themselves for how many. They're like Greece. They're celebrating themselves for how effective they're being with their deterrence or with their illegal pushbacks or with their border guarding.
But on top of this, Poland decided to suspend the right to asylum. And this is something we reported already about. But it is a very, very problematic situation because it is against Polish and international law. There are exceptions like children, pregnant women, or people with some medical conditions, but we know they are not checking if somebody is in need of surgery or in a very bad state. And most of the people who are crossing, because they're trying so many times, they are in need of some assistance, some medical assistance.
But I remember how, excited you were when the government finally shifted away from peace and it was leaning back towards left, and then Tusk eventually becomes the prime minister again.
Oh, naive me.
Yeah, but you were seeing the political winds were finally correcting. They were finally leaning back towards some sense of normal, right? You didn't expect it to shift dramatically, but you knew that it was at least the bleeding was gonna somehow stop a bit, right? And now you're like, wait,
I had higher expectations.
These are the same people.
And I had the right to expect more because they were criticizing what the Law and Justice government was doing, and now it's just a continuation.
But the original voting in the lower court in Poland, the lower house, of government, that's like the House of Representatives in the United States, right?
Yeah.
They almost unanimously voted for this thing.
Senate,
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
And now they just renewed it again? It only did for like 60 days, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and it's going to be renewed probably for as long as it's needed.
Polish law, you can renew it as long as Parliament approves it.
Yes, and you cannot enter the zone. It's not like a highly militarized zone. There is military, but it's not like in other countries.
So what happens if you and I want to go back to where we were on New Year's Eve 2021, and we want to go back into this area?
We would be returned.
Sorry, 2023.
Yeah, we would be returned by police or army. If we would try to really go, then we would probably get a fine, right, for entering the zone.
This emergency area has extended itself, and now you're going to get stopped driving down the street into these
only
small
locals
towns.
who have actually a permit and a document that they live there can enter the zone. This is the issue, and there's not much actually we can do about this. There are several trials of humanitarians happening. There actually was supposed to, one was actually supposed to be happening tomorrow, so on the 30th, and they just canceled it, postponed it for something. A person who was bringing humanitarian aid and had a power of attorney for one of the people who was detained by the border patrol, demanding the right to see this person. He was trying for hours, not knowing that this person is already pushed back to Belarus, and he just cursed at the patrol officers. And for this, he was arrested, and now he's facing a trial because he's obstructing their work.
Because he cursed at them.
It's ridiculous. While they were trying forcibly to make him to leave the station. So, many things are happening in this area. But we're talking about this in the context of Polish-Belarusian and Polish-German border, because Polish-German border became an issue that is highly politicized in Poland. I cannot even express how much it divides the society at the moment. So, because Germany decided to restart the checks at their border, Poland did the same. Right, as an equal measure of checking, and those are not full border checks, but those are random checks. Some cars are stopped, especially the ones with darker windows. On trains, people are checked, and so on, just to check if people who are crossing legally with documents. And many people who are stopped are actually Ukrainians who do not have a right to cross anymore without this or that document. But this became a very political reason because now the opposition and the far-right movement are claiming that Germany is sending us back, pushing back thousands of illegal migrants basically every month, which is not true. We have stats, but also people are confusing several things because we have, first of all, Dublin regulations, right? So just to remind everybody, if a person who wants to claim asylum in the European Union is reaching country A and then decides to move and claim it in country B, they do not have a right to do so. They should be returned to country A. And if a person claimed this asylum in country A, which is Poland, Germany sends people back, right?
And I remember how excited all of Polish, far-right people were. Dublin, 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 stay in Greece, stay in France, stay in Spain, because Dublin, Dublin, Dublin. You're not supposed to be in Poland or anywhere else. You're not supposed to be in other countries. And now here they are. But that Dublin thing.
Go.
No, they're already in Germany. Stay. You got to stay.
Yeah.
Because fuck the Dublin thing.
Yeah. So we have those people who claimed
What?
asylum in Poland and then wanted to go to Germany, and now Germany is sending those people back. And for this, we have numbers that's from January until June 22nd. I didn't find any stats for later. Those were 225 people that Germany, according to the Dublin regulations, send us back. And this is all coordinated. 225 this year.
That sounds like an invasion.
Right? It doesn't go into thousands. There's also readmission, which means that if a person is being stopped inside Germany without a legal right to be there, they didn't claim asylum there, they have no visa or no other document to be there, and Germany managed to find out that they crossed from Poland, they will also notify Polish authorities and send those people back to Poland. And again, the same period since January, it's 89 people. 89, okay?
Tsunami.
Yes, but what is happening now, because we have those border controls, we also have those turnbacks. Yeah.
They don't even want to use the word pushback. No, it's do they physically turn them around and push them that way?
Actually, I think sometimes it may happen this way. Listen, so car approaches this border patrol that just basically posts somewhere on next to the highway, and they're being stopped and they don't have documents, so they're saying like back, right? That's a normal thing. It was not happening till now because we don't have borders inside Schengen, but now Germany reinstalled that and they are finding those people. So those are like basically they call them mobile border controls. And in this case, and this is maybe a little bit problematic, and this is why it's so easy to make it political, it's if Polish authorities are preoccupied, are busy, are not responding, Germany has a right to just basically turn really people around and be just like, go back. Or like if they're walking, they can just like leave them somewhere at the bus station or somewhere. They don't have to notify a Polish side. So this is like Polish, this is why those far-right movements are saying Germany is basically sending us people back. They're just pushing back people without any notification, without anything. So that's problematic. But what is even more problematic is that those citizen patrols, nicely put them,
oh my God.
They decided to go basically even against the army, border patrols and police. And they're even like shouting at border patrols' faces, saying like, you have no shame, you do not stop them, you don't do anything. So basically, it looks ridiculous. I wouldn't even call them border hunters, like those people we saw, for example, in Hungary, like really hunting people. It's a group of men, of course, middle-aged men, sitting on those small sandbeds with an umbrella and trying to stop cars passing by and criticizing the army and police and all the services, claiming that there is an invasion. Multiple journalists asked people who live in those towns that are bordering Germany. Nobody had seen any refugee, any migrant, anybody who doesn't look very Polish.
Yeah, but then there are all
it's
these
laughable.
protests and gatherings all over the country last week, right?
Yes.
Or the week before.
So this, on one hand, this is laughable, and it's obvious that this is not happening, that we do not have invasion of refugees and asylum seekers, but it reaches certain type of people, because those are the media they listen to. This is how their algorithm works. They only see those news. And the tension is really big right now in Poland because of that. And we have those demonstrations of far-right movements with some football fans. And we have some pro-refugees, or maybe more like against racism and against violence demonstration. But it's very, very hard to convince people to go with the data stats and cool down a little bit, because the tension is really high.
Well, don't worry. Your new president will go to the right protest.
Amazing.
Right? Or maybe he'll go to the one with all the hooligans and then calm them down, because, you know, he used to be one himself and now he's reformed, right?
Oh, please let's not go there.
Just, you know, the other day we were doing, well, about a month ago we did the UN Human Rights Report for World Refugee Day, and did a rabbit hole dive into all these numbers, and I tallied up every European country, right? Every Schengen member, you know, EU member state country that is hosting asylum, hosting refugees, right? Anybody from anywhere. I totaled them all up, and the numbers are, you know, like a grand total of 5.2 or 5.4 million or something like this in the entirety of continental Europe. And when you compare that with the population of Europe, it is less than 1%. Less than 1%.
But they're adding
But this
probably...
shit is toppling governments. This shit is changing the political and the logistical and the just the day-to-day life, like logistics of everybody's everything, over less than 1% of the total population of this area. What would they do if it really was a Children of Men type moment? What would they really do? But for less than 1%, they're selling the soul, like, of the whole, like the whole democratic agenda, like everything that we're supposed to stand on, that we're supposed to be the moral high ground, the city on the hill. It's like they're just like digging out the bottom so it'll topple over. Like, it's insane, over nothing. Okay, fine. Yes, lots of people are coming and looking for support, and they should get the support and the international standards that all of these European countries helped create. They should be honored. But...
Yeah. Shall we go to another country that does a lot of fuss over almost nothing?
Well, in some respects, it feels like Poland is learning from Greece.
Yes.
A little bit of an exchange program, perhaps, right?
Greece, then.
Because Greece is like, oh, you got to be kidding me, right? We've posted a lot about updates in recent months, and we kind of do a lot of information update dumps for everybody about what the newest crazy thing that the government here is doing. And, you know, like when we were asking people on the streets, how many refugees does Greece support or host, right? And people were like, millions. Literally, people were saying 2 million. And one person said, well, Athens has got about 5 million. So at least 50% of Athens is a refugee. So yeah, probably like 2.5 million. And the number is 116,000. And then when we asked the same question about how many people are coming to Greece seeking asylum, that they want to stay in Greece. And again, millions, millions, millions. It's insane. It's crazy. It's so much higher than it used to be. And the number is like 18,000. And then most recently, we reported that the Prime Minister Mitsotakis' government has basically suspended asylum. It does sound a little familiar to Poland here. Oh, wait a second. We don't have to actually, we could just claim an emergency, and then we can suspend all of these internationally recognized laws and duties. And they did this once before in 2020 during COVID, but they don't have a COVID excuse this time. They have, oh, here comes a whole tsunami, an invasion of people coming from Libya to Crete.
And I wonder how important it is that the Prime Minister is from Crete. You know, and Crete is absolutely beautiful. We've been there. It's such an amazing country.
Yes, but if there's one island in Greece that can maintain a temporary processing of people coming for asylum, it is Crete. Crete is big. It is
It
a large
is big,
space.
but they don't have extra services to
Fine,
manage that.
then
They do not. So they are
then create the
stretched.
pathways for it to be legally approachable and to do it right. We're talking a decade into this experience. There's no longer the excuse that we're not prepared. You've had 10 years to like actually prepare yourself. But as we've known on many places in this country, in Athens, in Lesbos, and other islands, they've done nothing for preparedness. They've done the opposite. And the most recent thing, maybe like several months ago, it was like international, it was Greek Independence Day, and we posted some stuff about how we stand with Greece celebrating its independence. And every year on Ohi Day, when they fought the Nazis, we stand up and celebrate that too. And then we were also like, yeah, but guys, there are a lot of people here that need your assistance and need your democratic norms and morals to protect. And they, Mitsotaki's government put in a new minister of migration, and that guy had ties to the junta that was in charge of this country in the 70s, the famous one that like just destroyed, that following the Civil War, after the chaos of World War II and the Nazis, and then the Civil War, and then a junta into the 70s. So 50 years ago, this guy is somehow connected. I believe it's his grandfather is the general, right? But he's not there anymore. As of June, there's someone new. Thanos, kind of funny that that's his name because that's not a good name in the Marvel universe. Plevris is the new migration minister. And I would just like to read you his CV. Okay,
wonderful.
So to see, I think he actually probably brought this into the interview. And he said, I'm a far-right politician my whole life. He didn't say this, but I'm sure this is what he was able to write. He maybe even included a video of him burning Turkish flags with Golden Dawn men during rallies when he was a younger man. He's consistently advocated for the use of deadly violence against illegal immigration. He thinks that there should be no food, no water, and no shelter. So he wants a Gaza-style situation for anyone who comes into Greece. That would stop everybody from coming to Greece. This is his...
For everybody who's coming, like now during this time when they suspended.
Period. Not even just this is he was appointed in June before the suspension, right? So he is the new migration minister now, in advance of the suspension. So you could see him kind of like Stephen Millering his way into this kind of scenario where like, and then this is what we should do, right? We should kill the Helios program. We should kick everybody out of the housing. We should take away all the food supports. We should take away all the financial supports. We shouldn't give them any place to stay. We should criminalize all of them. We should say all of them go to jail immediately. And that's exactly what they're doing now since they suspended the asylum. But here's more from his CV, because it's pretty unbelievable. Interestingly enough, okay, even the Libyans don't like him, okay?
Okay.
The Libyans considered him persona non grata because, he met with the National Unity Government that's based in Tripoli. And so he met against how dare you talk to those guys, right? Because they're still dealing with their conflict. So anyone coming out of Libya isn't leaving a safe place, right? But when he was a lawyer, back when he was a younger man, he actually represented his father in court. And during this, court case, he openly argued that it should not be illegal to advocate for the Nazis to return to Greece. It should not be illegal, he said. It's illegal in Greek law, kind of like in Germany, where you're not allowed to have the flag and say these things and make these slogans, and unless you're Elon Musk, I guess, and then you can hail whatever you want, right? But he basically said it shouldn't be illegal for that, and that he thinks that it's a good idea to reopen Auschwitz.
Reopen
it.
Purposes?
We should have those. Because if we have those, similar to his no food, no water, no shelter, then it's okay. Because we'll have an Auschwitz, and then it'll be safe for us, for the people. He said these things in court while defending his father in a legal case. While defending his father. Who cares how old he was, right? He was a lawyer, old enough to do that, right? All of these things got him into a lot of hot water, and eventually, he was really penalized for this because he was appointed the Minister of Health. And then immediately he started pushing anti-vax things in and around COVID. That's in 21. But before that, in 2018, his real special little crowning moment is that he was a lawyer who represented the 8 police officers who were responsible for standing aside and also participating in mob violence local people who killed someone named Zaki O, who his real name is Zaki Kostopoulos, and he was an American Greek who was born in the States and then came back as a family as a child, and he was LGBTQ, and he performed as in drag as Jackie O, and some random thing happened. No one knows really why he was where he was or what happened, but he was basically attacked in a store, beaten by local people, by shop owners and all sorts of people. He was thrown through a glass window. After he was on the ground, police came, and people were stomping on him and kicking him and doing all sorts of stuff. The police participated in it, and he died. This guy, Thanos, represented those cops, and those cops did not go to jail for this. 2 men, 4 years later, went to jail, were found guilty of what they did, but those 8 cops did not, thanks to Thanos. And now Thanos is in charge of our migration reality in Greece.
I basically have no comment. I mean, I really don't know how to comment on this CV. I want to, however, talk about a slightly different issue in this area of suspending asylum in Greece. Namely, the suspension of asylum is for people who cross illegally from Africa, right? And
This pathway, but it's
yes.
like anybody who comes through.
Because in theory, like you can still have Ukrainians asking for asylum, right?
But anyone who's coming through Africa to Greece, it's like this pathway, they're saying.
And something that will be interesting to follow during this time is Frontex engagement in it. Because when they suspended the right to asylum for the first time, as you mentioned, in 2020, Frontex, who was always supporting Hellenic Coast Guard, was helping a lot in, making it happen. And now the question is, will this happen again? Will Frontex be again so helpful? Because it goes against the Charter of Fundamental Rights. So are we going to see them being pushing this again, or is this gonna be challenged somewhere?
That's what this government is advocating for, and they're making the statements that anyone who comes will be arrested, and anyone who's stopped at the sea in advance will be pushed back by military force. So it's not as if they're not going to do that. So who's going to do that?
Back.
Yeah.
And it's an immediate deportation. It's not people being waiting for this 3 months period to stop or something. They are actively trying to immediately deport those people.
Yeah,
right?
They're detaining them, holding them. Everyone's a criminal, and then they're sending them off. And I wonder where they're getting these ideas from. I don't know. Maybe Alligator, Alcatraz, whatever business. Like, what is this?
But I betcha that it's gonna be the situation. So first of all, you cannot deport people to countries where they face some persecution, when their life is in danger, right?
Up until 2024, now you can send people to Sudan
Wherever
or
you
to Somalia.
Exactly. So there are so many people where there's war, there's an active war. So what are they gonna go do with all of those Sudanese, for example? You cannot deport them. I betcha they will be just sending people back to Libya or wherever, somewhere where they came from. They're not gonna be deporting them to their country as long as they will get rid of them.
Send them back to the prison, send them back to the gang rape, send them back to the slavery. Sure, great.
Absolutely.
Europe, fuck yeah. It's like America, fuck yeah. It's like, this is an unbelievable, we need the South Park people to make another movie, only it's about, or maybe we should make that movie, because this all kind of lines into all the scripts we've been talking about back in 2020 of where we thought the world was going. It's happening.
It is happening.
It's happening. It's not some future far dystopian Black Mirror bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
It's right now.
Exactly.
Remember when we said that the episode was going to be 10 minutes on each of these topics? I think this is may end up being the longest episode we've done in season 4.
Like every good season finale on television,
Just
it's
a
a double.
bit extra. Okay. So do you want to hear more from Thanos' amazing CV as to why he should be definitely the pick? Mitsotakis should make the new migration minister for Greece, or do you want to shift down to a country where people would be potentially coming to Greece for protections and would not be allowed in because of the new suspension of asylum?
I'm going to pass on Thanos.
No more Thanos.
Yes, okay. Yes.
How about Sudan?
Yeah,
Because that shit's
important
fucked up.
topic. It is.
It's crazy.
It is. And we want people to pay attention to this area because this is one of the worst conflicts and worst humanitarian situation in the world currently. Everybody's talking about Gaza and people forget about Sudan. So since this current, the last phase of this conflict, which is basically 2023, it's 12 million people who have been displaced, many of them internally. They just had to flee certain regions, but there are also people who fled the country because it was so absolutely impossible to live in. Around 4 million left the country seeking asylum in other countries. But also, which is really interesting, is that this region of Africa, and we recorded a pretty interesting episode of the situation in Africa, how those migration is intertwining. Like there are countries who are at the same time countries that people flee from, and that countries where they host refugees from other countries.
Musical chairs.
Yes, musical chairs, season 4, episode 9. So encourage everybody to watch it or listen to it.
With Lala?
Yes. But so some of those people who were claiming asylum in Sudan, who fled to Sudan to claim asylum, they also had to flee because it was too dangerous for them to live there, right? And we're not going to go deep into the conflict and the causes of it because we had a fantastic episode in the previous season with Jordan Siegel, amazing journalist.
Really
Season 3, episode 19. It's a must, seriously must watch, because Jordan was one of very few journalists who managed to go into Sudan and report from Darfur and be there and see everything that was happening on the spot.
She's a badass. I can't believe the way she was describing how she got in and what she had to do to continue to work inside. And this was at a time when everything was really starting to fall apart. But her ability to like kind of steal.
She's resourceful.
Be pretty steely about everything and then just go be there and just have that kind of nerve.
Absolutely.
That's pretty crazy.
Absolutely. However, in some regions, there are literally pockets that became safer, where fights are no longer happening. They moved somewhere else. So some people are trying to go back to their home countries. And recently, this number have increased significantly. It's over 1 million people are now moving towards those regions that seem safer. And it's predominantly Khartoum, Sennar and Al Jazirah regions. And many of those people are going to check it. Not that many think that, I'm already going with everything I have. No, they want to check if it's livable somehow.
But are they going to the areas where the SAF, the Sudanese armed forces, are?
No, those are predominantly areas where there are no fights. And maybe there are still some of the military forces in each of them, but it's important for them not to be in a fighting zone.
No, I meant more like that. They're under the protection of the SAF, as in like this area has been cleared of the fighting and the RSF has been forced out. So now it's technically the Sudanese government military is in charge of the area. Like Khartoum is almost all controlled again by the Sudanese army. Yeah. But so is this, you're saying that...
being honest, I would have to check if all of those areas are controlled by the Sudanese army at the moment or by the
and then which people are moving back? Are they Muslims? Are they Arabs?
Jeez, you're asking me difficult questions. I really don't know.
I'm curious about like who is able to move back, because it does prove the point that your people want to go home.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want to live in another country. They don't want to live in a refugee camp. They don't want to get arrested in another border. They want to go home as soon as they can. You see that in Ukraine. If they could go home, they would. And we don't even have time to talk about what's going on in Ukraine right now, where the cities are being bombed again like every day. It's insane. Absolutely. Who gives a shit if Trump gives them 2 weeks deadline? That's not going to stop it. But like the point I'm making is that like everybody, if they can, would go home.
Yes.
And
I believe it's a mix. I actually haven't seen any information if those are Christian, Muslims, any other groups. I saw some comments, though, by predominantly IOM, saying that this is not only about like giving people the right to come back and live their life wherever they want it, but this is also this very important social tissue of any type of a place, like people who will come back and will rebuild it, because at this moment the country is absolutely devastated. They are going to places where there is no running water, there's like barely any electricity during the day, schools and hospitals barely exist, and those who exist have been turned into places where refugees, internally displaced people, are being hosted. So there's really not much to go back to. That's why people are just checking, like, how can I live here? Is this place better or that place better, right?
For the
me
schools,
to stay.
it was like this crazy number. And if you think about it, like it was like all the schools were destroyed.
Yeah.
Like it was like there was no education happening, and 19 million children were displaced from education.
Mm-hmm.
There were 51 million people in Sudan. And that would not add South Sudan to that, so it's a different country. But out of 51 million, 19 million are children.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost half your country are under the line of education.
Mm-hmm.
Like this crazy. That's how young the people are in this region. So that's how vulnerable they all are.
Yeah.
That's nuts that many people in the country are under the age of 18.
People are going to a country that is completely destroyed and is being destroyed.
And you're a kid.
Yes. And so the children's rights are constantly violated, as all international organizations report. There's sexual violence against women spreading wildly everywhere, basically, and especially now when people are on the move, it's even worse. But those who come back, interesting thing, the country is so devastated that, of course, there's no administrative system really working. Documentations, most people do not have any documents, but there's also no central system for any type of support, right? To just check if this person is who they are and they deserve whatever social services they may get. There's nothing really in the country at the moment, and they are still fighting. So we have people trying to return at least, and at the same time we have people still fleeing some other countries, and they're fleeing to neighboring countries, but at the same time we're fleeing internally. So it's a constant mess. Again, those musical chairs all the time back and forth in this area in Africa, and people are some of them, and I think it's really worth highlighting that it's not massive. When it comes to people who are trying to reach Europe, they are trying to predominantly stay in this region. However, those who are fleeing Sudan at the moment deserve asylum without any saying. It's such a violent, brutal internal war, like almost no other place. And the fact that, you know, the gold mines are there and they're fighting for those rich resources there. It's not going to end easily. Even if the peace talks start, it's going to take long time to bring peace and some stability to a country who has so much gold. Like, what world are we living in, right?
I mean, Sudan's been the host of multiple genocides. According to the U.S. government, more than one already has been officially declared in Sudan. And some of the numbers that I was seeing were a little bit higher, depending on where you're getting the sources from. With the UNHCR report, like maybe the way that they were like calculating whether you're an asylum seeker or a recognized refugee or displaced or internally displaced or forcibly displaced. But the numbers were so high, it's crazy. It was like 27% of the country is displaced. Like that's like the level of people who were like, like during the Great Depression, 27% on, this massive unemployment that like destroyed America. There is no employment, there is no food, there is no education, there's drought, there's famine, and it's impacting 1 in 4 people in the country. And then you think about the other 3 of 4 that are not impacted as badly, they're still impacted because the entire country has ceased to operate, as you said. So
absolutely. And UN is appealing to everybody, to all those big donors, to help raising funds for Sudan, both for the people who are internally displaced, but also all the others, because they also need help, they need support, but also for those who are now refugees in other countries. And the numbers are really low. So they claim they need $4.2 billion for those who are vulnerable inside Sudan. And this is only for the life-saving support, right? It's not for education. It's not for any development issues.
Like first response.
It's this year, first response, 4.2 million. And so far they managed to collect 23% of that. And it's already past half of the year, right? And they need an additional $1.8 billion for those who fled the country and are predominantly in Central African Republic, Chad, Egypt, Ethiopia, Libya, and South Sudan or Uganda. And for those, they only managed to collect 16%. And again, this is only life-saving, nothing more. No fancy programs, no education, no skills training. It's just life-saving. And it's absolutely terrifying that it's not even much in media.
Right. And then back to those, those numbers we were saying earlier about there's just a little over 5 million people being hosted by all of Europe. Mm-hmm. And Uganda is like hosting 2 million. Yeah. And you've got somewhere between 13 and 15 million people displaced in Sudan alone. Mm-hmm. Then you have South Sudan as well. This region, then there's the Sahel. Just shift a little to the west, and you have another massive madness. And everyone in Europe is freaking out and burning down their own castles over 1%
I really don't know what we can do and how many times can we repeat that most people who have to flee
70% stay
in the region.
Stay in their region. Stay one border over.
Yes,
70%,
exactly,
70.
Exactly. Like, come on, if a war starts right now in my country, wouldn't I just try to go to the neighboring country?
You saw it right as it happened. Everybody just went to Poland, and then they went back to Ukraine when they could.
But nobody listens to those statistics. That we all think that it's so worse and so absolutely horrible in Europe because we have so many refugees and asylum seekers. We don't. Globally, we really don't.
Yeah, the other numbers were something crazy from the UNHCR 2024 global report that the countries with the least money, economies that are the least developed, underdeveloped, undeveloped, or lightly developing, they host 90% of the people in the world that are displaced. And the richest countries, they barely even host. They all chop up the other 10% or something crazy like this. And those are not hard numbers. We'll put the links for the global report in there, and I'll put a little side note of what the actual numbers really are. But it was really kind of egregious. It was it was crazy. Absolutely. And I was just like, come on.
Yes.
But I wonder if Jordan would, we bring her back and then ask her, does she think that we're headed towards a South Sudan, East Sudan, West Sudan reality?
Another division?
A North Sudan, where this country is going to split into 4 pieces?
It's sad, but maybe this is the solution right now to stop the fighting. Because, again, those are really brutal fightings where people, if they do not stand by one side, may, lose their life, lose an arm, lose a leg, just chopped by a machete.
The people that were in charge of the Janjaweed before are the ones who follow this RSF and this Hamedi, this former guy who was part of the military junta, coup that kicked out the leader, right? And then they split because
Rapid
then they say they want to have their own. So he wants everything. So you got 2 generals fighting over everything.
Yeah.
And before they needed to work together, and they did it multiple times to kick out the previous person, Bashar, right? So then you have, are they just going to fight to the death? Or are they going to call it I don't know. April, they had 20 countries met in London to talk about peace talks and a ceasefire.
And they talked.
And it's July, and they talked. And everyone expressed their concern. And, they're so worried. And, it's so terrible what's happening. And we strongly encourage. I don't really know what everyone's really supposed to do, though, in terms of an answer here. But, there's got to be some international mechanisms that stop this type of shit. This is crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And at minimum, if you're not going to figure out a way to solve those issues, then you need to create some sense of systems to protect the innocent people who are going through it. Like 19 million children. What, we're supposed to just let them die? What the fuck? Is that what we should call this episode? The fuck? Like, that's what we should call the last one.
Super sad. Okay, here we have 4 topics to pay attention to during summer break. Because things will be happening there and will be developing.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully, at least parts of those issues will be solved for better, hopefully.
So let's dig into these in October, November for our first 4 episodes of the new season.
Absolutely.
And
yeah. Okay. This is it for Humanitarian Watch 7, and this is it for Season 4. And we would really like to thank very, very, very much to the whole team that creates this podcast, predominantly our wonderful editor, Davud Nouri, who's always with us in the studio, recording and being part of the production, but also editing it, to our co-hosts, Rashid Gali, Sudan Ali Fazlollah, who are always with us, if sometimes not in person, then with their spirits, good advice, and interesting takes on certain issues in many parts of the world. So,
and an entire team of students and teachers and interns and people supporting in the background that make this episode possible, make this program and all of the other Refocus productions possible. We thank everybody for all of their effort, energy, passion, and creativity. Thank you.
Thank you to you for watching and for supporting us. Remember, you can still do this. We have an account on Patreon, but you can also donate to our webpage. We would be very grateful for this. It will help us create more quality content.
Thanks so much. See you very, very soon.